Keith Tlaib is a former teammate who's now playing obviously for the other team. What do you remember about just being teammates with him?
Oh, I mean, he taught me a lot. I think he was a veteran guy coming in, feisty, very scrappy guy. But I mean, we still remain good friends to this day. But I think that's a fun part of playing in the league for a while. You get former teammates, you get friends, you get to compete against. So he's one guy that I know he'll be playing his best football on the other side of the field. So um, you know, uh, you see it even in their team how much better they played on defense with him. He's a leader. I think he really gets guys to follow him when he goes out there and plays. And I thought he brought a great edge, to our team when he came, for the 2 years he was here.
Just one question I had asked Pat, just from he goes up against a lot of tight ends. At times, I think you do as well. I was asking him about Gronk, just from having practiced against him. How have you noticed that he's transcended that position?
Oh, I mean, the guy's so hard to cover. I think a lot of people think of tight ends so tough in the red area and making plays, but you watch him, like you said, down the field, crossing routes, catching the ball for 5 yards, breaking two tackles. I think just the way you look at his off the field of grinding through injuries and like that's how he plays. I think it showed up Sunday when we needed him the most, making big catches, making big plays. I think for me it's just cool. Every time I'm asked about him, we came in the same year, and to just watch both of us kind of grow, in this organization and become leaders, both be captains at times. I think, you get to kind of be right next to a guy and see him grow, and then obviously for me to watch, what he's been able to do. Best tight end in football for years. That's not easy to do.
On a teammate level, what does it take to get here? Like the trust, the accountability. What does it take to kind of guys to push everybody forward, just push the distractions aside and get there?
I think it's just what you said, trust. I think people will always talk about X's and O's and where you rank here or there. But people, like, no one knows except for us, what we go through in the locker room, what guys go through personally when you come in here, and you kind of put all that aside and you got to lean on each other. And I think both teams are probably, I'm sure they have very similar stories of what we have in this locker room, because to make it through, 16 games in a regular season and then through the playoffs, you have to have a tight-knit group. You have to be close. You have to go out there when the game's hard and it's not going your way at times, and to keep fighting. That's doing it for each other. So I think any team you watch to get to this point, and this team is definitely like that. You'll hear it multiple times, whether it's someone talking to their position group or a slate breaking it down after the game, talking about each guy's character, talking about the bonds that we build, talking about being there for each other to help you develop as a father, a husband. Like it's so much more than when we just sit in meetings and go to practice. And that's why I love the whole journey and process of going to the Super Bowl, because it's a week together one last time, kind of, for a team that you feel is special, that you kind of want to take advantage of. So that kind of started today. So I should say more than a week, but started today with putting everything in and having fun with this process. Like, I know it sounds crazy because we always say you don't know if it'll happen again, and we've been 3 straight years, but you really don't, and it won't happen again with this team.
You're the first team in 25 years to make it back to the Super Bowl after losing the previous season. So what did you learn from last year's experience, and not to make sure that doesn't
Well, first I would say, did the last team win the next time they went back?
They did not.
So we shouldn't even bring this one up.
Never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think each time's different. Like I said, each team's different. I think guys with experience, you try to help guys with the logistics part and the different things of studying, throughout a long period of time. Usually we don't have that many days to study an opponent. So you try to prep, all of those things. But it's tough. I don't think you can take much from last year other than the experience of dealing with the things that don't actually involve the game at times. I think those are probably the hardest things to deal with, whether, as much as we love our families, but dealing with our families when they get in on Thursday and budgeting your time the right way. Like, to me, those are the biggest things that you can bring over each time you play in this game. And then at the end of the day, you try to focus on being ready to play in the game Sunday, because like Bill keeps telling us and says every year, what you'll remember the most is the outcome of the game.
How excited are you for your brother? This is his first year with the Patriots, his first time going to the Super Bowl.
I'm excited. I think he's been he's been a great guy just to see as far as excitement and, being ready to go. And, but when it's time to lock in, he's locked in. I think that the guy you guys see running in the locker room, yelling and screaming after the game Sunday and after, a lot of our wins this year, when we come in here and we get ready to work, he's not focused on that. He's showing leadership of being ready to go, playing multiple positions, and we count on him to do that. So, along with him, Danny Shelton, those guys went from not winning a game last year to now playing in the Super Bowl. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, I'm sure they never dreamed that really or guessed that would happen this year. So, I think those two guys are prime examples of the work we put in for teammates next to us. Like, we have guys in here that have won Super Bowls, won multiple Super Bowls. But this game's important because you got guys next to you that, they went 0-16 last year. You know how special this is for them to be in this type of environment.
How beneficial is it for you to have played with Cooks all last year, training camp and practices for all that time, and now to be able to see him over there?
You know him a little bit personnel-wise, but you still got to dive into the film, see how they're using them. Like how we use them isn't necessarily the same on how he plays on the Rams. So it definitely helps when you've played against a guy multiple times. The same thing when you play against a guy that's like in your division for years. You know him personally as far as, how they run routes and, what they might not like, different things like that. But you still got to go and compete against him and try to make it tough. So, and we know kind of what Cooks brings. He's a fast guy. Whether that's catching passes going horizontally and getting vertical or he's getting vertical down the field. He's a guy that we kind of got to know where he's at. We had to do that in practice a lot, too, when he first got here, of knowing where he's at and recognizing his speed and what he can do.
Devin, regarding preparation, although there's 2 weeks between your last game and the next game, with all the potential distractions and the unfamiliarity with the Rams, last time you played them, they were virtually a different team in large part. How difficult is it, how challenging is it to get familiarity with the Rams, the personnel, in this week with everything that surrounds it?
I think you try to – that's why I say experience really helps. Like being done with everything logistically, I guess that was Tuesday, and coming in here Wednesday and like, all right, we're on the Rams. And scouting report, watching film, very fortunate, since the playoffs started, like I go home and my wife's like, do what you got to do. Like throughout the playoffs, she was like, I want to go to the Super Bowl, so do what you got to do. I got the kids, study film, and it's the same way now. Like if she ever is on me, I'm like, you want to win the Super Bowl or not? So that definitely helps at home with her stepping up and taking even more of a lead that she already has. And that's what we just try to encourage and tell guys, like, for one, get as much studying and work done while we're here, your normal kind of routine, going home, because it gets even harder once we get there and you're in a hotel now, you're trying to balance watching film, media and all of that stuff. So we try to get a lot of work done here and then just keep sharpening it as the game gets closer and closer.
2 more questions?
You personally will be in your 5th Super Bowl. How can you describe the journey?
The journey?
The journey playing your 5th Super Bowl.
It's been awesome. I can't ask for a better career to be able to play in 5 Super Bowls. Guys that are Hall of Famers, that are, top 5 players at their position ever, don't get that opportunity. So I'm blessed, I think to be drafted here by the Patriots, to play with some, amazing players and then have a coaching staff like we have here that works, I think, as hard as any coaching staff in all of football. I think it shows up and gives us an opportunity. But, we're blessed. We have a lot of guys in that locker room that have played in 5+ Super Bowls or 4. We got guys that came here 3 years ago and been in 3 straight Super Bowls. And the truth is, individually, it's not really because of any of us. It's been a group effort, and it's been a lot of guys and a lot of different people in this organization putting in, hard work for us to get there.
Last question?
I was going to ask you about their offense when it comes to using those fast motions right before the snap, or jet motion, whatever you call it. I know they're not the only team that does it, but it seems like they do it a lot.
Yeah,
What's the challenge in terms of
I think the one good thing is we've seen that a lot this year. I would say like RPOs last year was like the biggest thing in football, and I would say the missile motion is now like each team, like you said, each team runs some type of missile motion. The Rams, I think, make it tough because they do it. It could be Cooks, it could be Woods, it could be anybody that they have over there that they run it with. So that kind of makes it tough. It comes from, both sides, to the tight end, away from the tight end. But I think the experience of seeing it and kind of understanding the challenges, we know, but a lot of times it's just gang tackling. Like when they give it, it's, guys running inside out and trying to get the guy down. And then it's guys understanding if you don't have that, you need to play your responsibility that you have on the play, whether that's a gap, whether that's a man. It's one of those, kind of smoke and mirrors things that if your eyes go straight to that and you chase that, teams are really good at running toss action off it, downhill runs off it. So you really have to do your job on that. It's misdirection. And whenever you get misdirection from an offense, guys have to do their job.